Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for taking the time. Much appreciated. Attendance is taken. So we're going to approval of the agenda. Any additions or deletions? Do we have a mover? David, Councillor Miller, seconded by Member Guest. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Number 3, declaration of pecuniary interest. Please declare so at the appropriate time if you have any. Number 4, we're on to delegations, petitions, presentations, none listed at this time. So we're on to 5, adoption of minutes from previous meetings, 5.1. Do we have a mover to get on the floor? Mayor Bailey, seconded by Member McIntyre. Any discussion? Questions?
Yeah, I had a few questions about the previous meeting. There was a lot of information there, and I felt like we didn't have a lot of time to digest it and discuss it. The rural settlement areas that were proposed, there was a number of new ones there that I'm just wondering how they were initiated, who decided that these were going to be rural settlement areas. Was it the owners of the property or developers or the planners? And what's the purpose of initiating these settlement areas?
Not sure. Jennifer, could you take that maybe, please?
Thank you, Chair Hodge, to the member. We can actually talk about that in the business under the official plan if you would like, or it can be addressed now.
Okay, yeah, we can do it then. Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? See none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And we've covered business arising from the minutes, I believe. So now we're on to planning application 7.1. I'm not sure who's going to take that. Is it Dan, maybe?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Your agenda shows 3 planning applications that we've received that are located in the agricultural designation, agriculture related. So I'll present those to you one by one as they appear on your agenda. So I'm going to share my screen just to help with the visual. So that should be showing up on your screen shortly, if not already. Did it pop up there?
Not yet.
Nothing?
Not yet.
I can see my computer's thinking, so.
Sure. Take some time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay. So the first application is it's a consent application to sever a surplus dwelling at the property located at 655 Watts Pond Road. You can see the property location generally just north of Paris, west of the Grand River, highlighted in blue in the key map. The property itself consists of the red and green property, so these two combined. And the property identified in yellow is what we're calling the benefiting lands. And I'll expand on that in just a moment. So the owner of the property at 655 Watts Pond Road, again being the green and red parcels combined, this is Shirley McAllister, has received an offer to purchase from Sandy Hills Farms, the owner of the benefiting parcel, transfer and merge the agricultural portion to their parcel highlighted in yellow. So the total subject lands, again, the red and green combined, are approximately 27 hectares. The lands proposed to be severed for the surplus dwelling severance, and I'll just go down to another map identifying specifically what their proposal is to sever as a surplus dwelling severance. So this is a 4.3 hectare parcel. The agricultural portion to be consolidated to that property to the north is approximately 22 hectares. And as a result of the consolidation, Sandy Hills will consolidate a parcel totaling 51 hectares. So just to give you the committee members a bit of an idea of the policy framework that we apply and review relating surplus dwelling severances, typically we're looking for a farm parcel that takes the minimum amount of land required in order to accommodate the well, the septic, the existing dwelling, the entrance, taking no land out of production. We're also reviewing MDS for livestock if there are livestock barns on the property. We're also looking to confirm and control that the farmer is not simply severing a surplus dwelling and applying for building permits on the retained farm parcel for the vacant piece. So we have steps that we can take to ensure that we're not creating any new building lots. Other considerations relate to accessory structures. So this property does contain an accessory structure. And we're also looking at natural heritage features, changes in elevation, water courses, and woodlots. So specific to this request, the lot size is a lot larger than our target of 0.6 hectares. So this is 4.3 hectares. The proposed lot does accommodate the existing well, which is shown here, just east of the existing dwelling. The existing septic is north of the dwelling, and then we have that accessory structure, and we can see the entrance through here. The tricky part with this proposal is certainly the woodlot. This parcel contains a large woodlot, which is defined by kind of the variation in brown on the screen. And this woodlot is approximately 3.5 hectares, so it does cover a significant portion of that parcel. Another characteristic of this area is the low-lying valley that runs through the parcel. So the applicants have proposed a much larger area than what we typically would permit. And this is due to a number of things. One is the presence of the woodlot, the characteristics of the elevation running through the property, and based on the reason that the farmer, the agreement of purchase and sale, the farmer purchasing the property does not want to maintain and retain that woodlot. So they're only looking to purchase the actively farmed portion of the property. Just a few comments. Our official plan policy, generally how we deal with woodlots in this situation, woodlots shall generally remain with the farm. We're also looking to avoid any woodlot fragmentation. So if we drew a much smaller parcel around the dwelling, we would certainly be cutting into the existing woodlot, as we saw that the well was located in the lower portion, kind of in that valley area. Another point to consider is that we do have the province has strong policies related to prohibiting development within or adjacent to significant woodlots, and that development is defined as the creation of new lot lines. So it's not necessarily geared to development in terms of buildings, but development also includes creation of new lot lines. So any new lot lines would certainly be into that woodlot area. So as as we continue to review this application, planning staff and engineering and our environmental planner, we're going to continue working with the applicant to identify the significance of the woodlot as it relates to what the provincial standards are for identifying a significant woodlot. And again, just continuing to gather some comments from staff and this committee as well, as in terms of any comments that we should be considering, as well as reviewing planning policy as it relates to surplus dwelling severances, just to maintain the intent, make sure that the intent is being maintained through this application, and eventually we will schedule this application for a public hearing for the Committee of Adjustment. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from committee? Oh, Member McIntyre. You're muted. You're on mute, Owen. There you go.
There we go. Does area 1, the 22.8 hectares, is it A9 restricted?
So in this particular case, that benefiting parcel to the north is zoned agricultural and is permitted a dwelling. And because the consolidation is taking place, we will not apply the A9 to either of these parcels, because they're already permitted one dwelling, so they'll maintain that right or that ability to construct one dwelling.
Okay, because it's attached.
Yes, that's correct.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Richard here.
Go ahead.
Probably already figured this out, but they're not buying area 2 with it, and then that's being severed off and kept by the present owner, right?
That's correct. So the application is being initiated by the farming business or farming operation. We're working with the current owners of the property to facilitate this application, but the end result is the same.
Any other comments or questions?
So is staff happy with the 4.3 hectares being one piece? Who's going to maintain the bush down the road?
So if the property is, or if the woodlot is maintained by the area 2 owner, then it would be under their ownership and their maintenance. Staff's recommendation hasn't been finalized at this time. We're continuing to gather comments from committees such as this and other commenting agencies, but we have been working with the applicants to explore other options, or at least have a better understanding of what those other options of reduced lot size may look like. Again, just trying to keep consistency with our policies that permit such applications.
I can see why it would make sense for the woodlot to go with the surplus dwelling. To me, makes rational sense to me why they would want to pursue that, and why the farmer would not want the woodlot, in my view. Councillor Miller?
Yeah, well, to me, agriculture is it's a little bit more than a cleared field. I think when you look at a bush, maybe it's not being actively farmed, but there's a lot of environmental services that go along with it, whether it's purifying the water, providing pollinators, a whole bunch of environmental services. And I think through the work we've done on the rural water quality program, I think maybe Owen can attest to this. We've seen a lot of a lot of natural heritage features looked after by farmers, right? We find that farmers tend to be good stewards of the land. And we see that through, whether they're looking at fencing for the livestock or looking at cover crops or whatnot. So I don't know. I just see a 4.3 hectare huge piece of land not really serving a purpose, if it goes there. I know Dan talked about, you don't want to divvy up the bush, but then you don't have to if you ask them to drill a new well. I think that was the only issue. So again, like I say, a lot of environmental services provided, and I would, like I say, I would rather see it go with it as much as possible. But again, those are my comments. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay. Ken, did you have a comment?
Yes. I don't see that bush lot as being an advantage to the farmer. And I don't really see this as being a problem, severing it the way it is. The farmer obviously doesn't want the bush lot because of the massive swale through there, and it's obviously not farmable. And I really don't see that there's an issue with this other than the fact that it's larger than the suggested perfect size for a severance in prime ag area. So personally, I wouldn't have any concerns with this application.
Owen?
Is the next owner of Area 2, is he restricted from severing off some of this?
Dan?
Through Mr. Chair, the property would remain zoned agricultural and designated agricultural, so they wouldn't be permitted to create any new lots from Area 2.
Okay, I know there was a rule about infilling, and that looks like there's two residents there that aren't that far apart, so.
Okay, any other questions, comments? I can only see part of our committee simply because the screen shared here. I just want to make sure I'm not, Mayor
Mr.
Bailey,
Mayor.
sorry.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing Councillor Miller. I don't know whether it's just a bad connection, David, but I couldn't hear anything you were saying. I kind of agree with Ken Guest that there's I think the bush is better with the new farmer than the old farmer. I don't see any need for. I see it as a more attractive piece of property with the bush to the one side of the bigger property, and I don't know why we wouldn't allow someone to lose something that's not workable for them. And if someone else wants it, I mean, when do you ever get two people that want the same thing? He wants it and the other one doesn't. So it's a perfect time to get rid of it. And as far as infill, the frontage of that new lot would never be any deeper than it is now. So I think it would be a hard sell with the new official plan for us to allow infill there being zoned agriculture. I don't think there's anything to worry about as far as I can see for this to go through. And as I said, Councillor Miller, I've got a really weak connection on you today, so I don't know what you can do about that. Probably nothing, but I'm just letting you know the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Is anybody prepared to make a motion? Councillor Miller?
I would, just given the way the discussion's going, I will move that the Agricultural Committee endorses that application.
A seconder? Member Guest? Any discussion? Comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. On to 7.2, please, Dan.
Okay, so I will share my screen again for the second item. This is a minor variant, much more straightforward. minor variance application for at 359 German School Road. And once that pops up on your screen, you can see the key map. There's a little blue dot here that identifies the property location along the north side of German School Road, west of Brant Road. The property highlighted in red and blue is located just at the end of the cluster, abutting the agricultural farm parcel to the east. It's got the existing dwelling on the east side of the property and the driveway along the east side of the property as well. When I go, keep this in mind, when I go to the next image, the site plan flips German School Road to the top of your page. So it's a little bit just the way it was drawn up by the applicant. So now we have German School Road to the top of your page, and the agricultural parcel is to the I guess to the left side of your page. So we have this is a minor variance application which proposes to permit a 1.4 meter side yard, interior side yard setback, where 4 meters is permitted or required. And this is in order to facilitate a proposed garage, attached garage addition to the existing dwelling. In terms of policy framework, how we would review this application, we would review this application against the 4 tests of a minor variance, which review and would have to demonstrate that the intent and purpose of the official plan are being maintained. The intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw are being maintained, that the request is desirable and appropriate for the development of the land and building or structure, and that the request is minor in nature. So again, we've circulated this application for technical review, and we're still gathering comments. And being related to in the agricultural area, we are looking for some feedback or comments or a motion from this committee. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Does the neighbor have any comments about this proposal to the east?
I haven't received anything. I'm not sure if the public notices have gone out, but certainly they will prior to the application being heard by the Committee of Adjustment. I had mentioned to the applicant that to reach out to that neighbor directly. Just always helpful to have any written comments from abutting neighbors who would be most impacted. But certainly they will receive circulation, a copy of the circulation as part of the Committee of Adjustment application.
Any other questions? Member back.
So the reason we're being asked is because of the side yard variance.
That's correct.
And that's, am I assuming that the same variance is already in place with the existing building?
That existing shed in the rear, I'm not sure of the existing setback, but it is a detached accessory structure, so it would enjoy a reduced setback. But
okay.
Most likely, given the age of that structure, it may have been established prior to these requirements in our zoning bylaw, so it may be what we call legal non-conforming.
Any other questions? I'm sorry, I can't see everybody again. I just don't want to miss anybody. If you could, thank you, Dan. Okay, how does committee wish to proceed here? Anybody want to make a motion this time?
Yes, I have no problem with this, other than the drawings are upside down. I always thought north went this way.
Okay, moved by all, or member McIntyre, seconded by member Guest. All's in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. On to 7.3.
Okay, I will share my screen again. This is a consent application again for a surplus dwelling. I'll just presenting this one on behalf of my colleague Ryan Cummins, who was unable to make it today. But you can see the property located at 440 German School Road, identified in blue on the key map, just on the south side of German School, east of Clark Road. This parcel has a total area of 108 hectares, and the lands to be severed, identified in red, are approximately 1.7 hectares. And again, the same policy framework would apply. I'll just zoom in on the lands to be severed, where we're looking to take the minimum amount of land required in order to maintain kind of the form and function of the property as it would exist as a non-farm use. We would also be looking at, in this case, we're looking, the thing that complicates this application, if I could explain it that way, is the number of accessory structures that are located on the property and proposed to remain with the property. So we have two kind of outlying structures to be removed. And then we have a number of structures that are proposed to remain with the property. And certainly that results in a much larger parcel size than what we typically would target. Again, 0.6 hectares, where this is proposing 1.7. The accessory structures, as the applicant has explained, are no longer used for no longer used associated with an agricultural operation. They would be personal use associated with the dwelling. As part of this application, we would apply an A9 to prohibit the ability to construct a dwelling on the remaining parcel. And we would also, or the applicants are also proposing a site-specific rezoning to permit all of these remaining structures to remain and continue to be used, as they do exceed or would exceed the total area permitted for accessory structures on a non-farm parcel. So with that being said, again, circulated for technical review, and we are looking for some comments from the committee.
Okay, questions? Any comments?
Yeah.
Questions?
What are those buildings? Are they just one house or?
Through Mr. Chair, there is an existing dwelling located on the property, and I'm not sure on the specifics of what they've been used for, or what they are being used for today, but they do certainly vary in size and shape. And perhaps I'd have to look into the justification provided with the application, but moving forward, the applicants have proposed that they be used for personal storage associated with the residential use.
We're
And there's one-
dealing. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Richard.
Sorry, there's one other building to the south that there was two that were to be removed. There's one that's staying on the site. Is that staying on the site for the farmer?
I did notice that as well. I'd have to confirm whether or not this is an old aerial photo and that structure had been removed, but certainly we'll make that a little bit more clear for when it does move forward for the committee.
You're not sure what that structure is?
No, unfortunately, yeah, like I said, this is, I just took a look at this one this morning to fill in for my colleague Ryan, but I can't, it'd be hard to imagine that that structure would remain with the farm and the rest would stay. It'd be, I'd have to confirm whether that exists today or not, or if it's previously removed already.
Mayor Bailey?
I would suggest that if this is an old picture and the structure is here, we can't be putting any restrictions on something that won't be in this parcel of land anymore. So I think with this severance, it's going to make it very difficult for council moving forward to not be sort of bound to this funny little piece here on one side, and to have buildings pop off something that's going to be created new is kind of unusual. They either come down or they don't come down. They either belong to the new parcel or they don't belong to the new parcel. You don't just tell the farmer that it's left with that they might need this down the road. I think we need to make that clear, Dan, when you investigate further, that this is a recent photo, first of all, and that one structure isn't there. And if it isn't there, it needs to be directed to be removed as the other ones are. But I think it's going to sort of bind the hands of council moving forward when those pieces of property on either side of this come up for severance, which I'm sure they will.
Yeah, just reviewing our 2020 aerial, and it does show a structure there. I don't know if it's a temporary structure, but certainly the tough to tell from the aerial and the roof lines.
Any further questions? Member McIntyre?
So, you guys, that staff is dealing with an entirely new owner here for the whole package.
In this situation, we're dealing with the current owner of the property, being Chris Martin through a numbered company.
Yeah, so he's a new owner here, right?
He would be identified as the current owner.
Okay, so he's trying to sever off this piece. And the rest, so he's going to sever it off and sell it.
That's correct. So he's identified this as this area as being the dwelling and the structures surplus to his farming needs.
Okay. And the rest of it, the farm's going to get an A9 listing.
That's correct.
They're restricted. Where are there other accesses? I see there's a piece of dirt that goes out to Clark Road. Is that an access there? Or does he have to apply for new road access to it?
If through Mr. Chair, if the farm parcel does not maintain access through some other farm access through either German School Road or Clark Road, certainly they would be required to apply for another farm entrance.
Any further questions? Okay, how does committee want to deal with this? Do we have a motion?
I feel like we need more information myself.
So would your motion be to defer?
Yes.
Till we have more info? When would the application possibly go forward though, Dan, before our next meeting cycle, possibly?
Through Mr. Chair, I don't know exactly when, if this one's been scheduled yet. If the committee is looking for more information, it would be helpful to staff if you provided a little bit of insight of what type of information. Perhaps if that information is currently available and I have yet to review it, we can provide that to the committee prior to the next meeting.
Our meeting cycles, usually we don't meet in the summer, we meet in September again, would be our tentative next meeting cycle. Matt?
Through the chair to the committee, I would also ask that if we could provide more information via email and maybe have consensus through email provided, that might just help this application move along. Just thinking of when this committee does meet. Otherwise, it would potentially hold this application up for quite a bit.
Understand. So do we have a seconder for Richard's motion to defer for more information, and we'll deal with it electronically? Mayor Bailey, any other discussion? All's in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. So now we're on to staff reports.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Now we're on to staff reports, none listed. So on to communications, 9.1, 2, and 3, and I believe it's Zach Gable.
Yeah.
Please.
Thank you, Chairman Hodge.
Thanks.
I know it's a busy agenda today, but I just had a few items from the County of Brant Economic Development and Tourism Division that I'd like to share with the committee. So the first thing I just wanted to share with the committee is the county will be hosting the 14th annual Municipal Agricultural Economic Development and Planning Forum, which is quite the title, I realize. But this is an event in partnership with OMAFRA, and it's geared for municipal staff across the province and members of the ag community. So for the past couple of years, this event's been held virtually. So we're very happy to be able to host this in the County of Brant, following all public health directives. We'd be expecting about 125 delegates. The tentative timing for this is early November. And basically, it's an opportunity to really celebrate best practices in the host community for economic development and planning as it relates to agriculture. It's typically the first day is a bus tour where you're out at local agricultural assets or farms, and then the next day is kind of the full conference portion. So I just wanted to ask if perhaps a member of this committee might be interested in some of our planning discussions as we move forward. There's lots to highlight in the county, so it's great to have additional perspectives. And if there's any questions.
Yeah, I can volunteer to do that, Zach, since we communicate on a fairly frequent basis already.
Right.
If somebody else would want to do that, it's fine with me, but I'd be more than willing to help.
Great. Thank you, Chairman Hodge. Yeah, if there's no questions about the Municipal Ag Forum, I'll move on to my second item here. So the next item I'd just like to share with the committee is our Brant Farms for All marketing campaign. So this is something we started last year, and it was kind of marketing our agricultural assets and our agritourism businesses within the county. So there's a few components to this, including a workshop series that was delivered on direct selling. We put together a bit of a signage campaign and our farm and market guide that highlights these existing businesses. And all these activities were funded partially by a grant through OMAFRA. So we've been pretty happy with the feedback. We're going to continue to kind of grow on this program. I think for this year, focusing more on social media and, as appropriate, continuing to spread the word about these agritourism assets within our community. And we'll be most likely doing a guide update in 2023 and doing a reprint. So if there's any questions for me, and I'm not sure if everyone's received a copy of the guide. Every household in Brant would have received one in the fall, but happy to get you a physical copy if you like as well.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you. 7.3.
And then the last item here, and feel free to join in, Chairman Hodge, with your insights. But
Sure.
I did want to share about a program we started in partnership with Conestoga College. So this is the agricultural equipment operator program that's been run out of the Conestoga Airport campus within the county. And this was a result of a funding application that was made in partnership with the county, the college, SCORE Economic Development Corporation and the Workforce Planning Board. And we were successful in getting a grant through the Canadian Agricultural Partnership to run this pilot program over the past 2 years. So we've had 2 cohorts now. The second one is wrapping up in April. And basically it's kind of the first programming like this in the province of Ontario where we have students coming in and learning how to operate agricultural equipment. So we've been very happy with the uptake, and Conestoga has been a great partner and is looking to expand this. And actually I can share as of now, the pilot will be kind of rolled out in 2023 as a full-time course offering. So we're pretty happy to be have this opportunity with the college. So I think as it relates to this committee, if there's an opportunity to help spread the word about this programming through your networks, that's something we definitely appreciate it. And I'll hand it over to you to Chairman Hodge if you have anything you want to share about the program as well.
Yes, thanks. I've been actively involved in the program last year, and this year I'll be going back as the instructor in April for the operations / maintenance portion of the program. So I'm going to be there for 4 days a week, 6 hours a day. We have 5 students this semester. We're capped at 16, but because of the vaccine mandate, a lot backed out. So we're down to 5 students. But I'm proposing, last year I was a tech assistant. This year I'm the instructor for the April portion of the program. I'm going to have them 2 days a week out at my farm, out at the shop. And then 2 days a week, we're going to be at the airport. I take a machinery down there. I show them how to maintain it, service it, get it ready, and then show them operations. And I'm going to split between my farm and the airport simply because the airport's restricted as far as a viable field. We're trying to figure out a way to present this program for the students where they get the most out of it. So I'm actually going to go down tomorrow afternoon. We're going to be the tech assistant for a shop portion, and I'm going to sit down and chat with students and see what they would like, how they would like the April portion of the program to proceed. So it's quite an undertaking. There's a lot to try and figure out, but again, I believe we're making progress, and hopefully we can have a successful launch here. And it's unfortunate that it's going to be a year before we offer the full-time program, but hopefully we can keep the momentum going here. So it's very interesting. Again, I worked with Jeremy Eating last year as his assistant for March and April, and this year now I'm the instructor. So look forward to it. It's a challenge. It's again, coming from my farming background to the college. The 2 viewpoints don't always necessarily align 100%, but something we can, I'm sure we can work through.
So, Kevin, how long a course is this?
It's been just a pilot, has been just the winter semester, so the second week of January into April, the end of April. But the proposed full-time program would be from September until April. So it'd be right through the fall, the winter, and into the spring. But I'm trying to we're having discussion at the PAC planning advisory committee that hopefully we could shorten the program so that it doesn't extend so far into April and take away from, obviously it's farm operation time, right? So the full-time program, you'd be giving up your fall harvest. You'd be tied up for that, but I would like to see it so that we don't interfere with spring operations.
So they've done no practical yet, right? They haven't. This is their first visit to the farm. Will be your place.
Yes. We did that last year as well, but we're going to do more out on my farm this year.
Yep.
It's the airport. It's a great facility for the shop portion, for the theory portion, but again, they've got about 3 or 4 acres to turn around on there. So you only work the same piece of dirt so many times. So it's the real challenge to try and get this so that you know, they get a lot of, just not theory, but the practical, right? Like the reality, what I call it, the everyday operations. That's something that we've struggled with, but and we will continue to struggle with, but I think we're making headway. So I'm gonna sit down and honestly see what they would really like. I know it's supposed to be strictly operations with a little bit of maintenance, but you know, what's their expectations? What would they like?
So if you, where the kids, are they kids? Are they older people, or what are you, what's their background?
I believe I've only met 2 of them of the current semester, but 4 of the 5 are from the farming background. Last year we had a variety.
Oh, they are, okay.
Yeah, we had young, older, a lot of distance traveling. Some would travel from Mississauga to come to the pilot program. So a lot of people are traveling a long way, an hour or 2. There's Mayor Bailey.
Interesting.
Anyway, I've been involved with this program now for a couple of years. I've been to all their graduations. They've done warehouse training too. So what the students are is people that know what they want to do or think they know what they want to do, and they're trying to not go through an entire set of courses. They don't want to take math and physics, and they don't want to take trigonometry and all of that stuff. They think they know what they want to do. And some of them are warehouse workers. They learn how to work back, well, some of them are outside too. They do backhoes and they do hoisting engineer papers. And I've been to all the graduations, and what it does is it just fast tracks them to what they want to do without all the things tying them up in English class and taking Shakespeare and taking phys ed. But it's not what they need. It's not what they want. These ones want to be farmers, and they want to know what they're up against, and they want to know from farmers what farmers do, and they don't want to go through the rigmarole of sitting in school for 18 months and then doing an apprenticeship. So it's a wonderful course. And Kevin, I hope that you reach out even beyond this committee if you need to get other farmers involved, because there's lots of other farmers that I can think of that would be really great at this. And the students, a lot of them are immigrants too. A lot of them are coming here from wherever they're coming from, and they know what they want to do. That's maybe why they even came here, who knows? So it's just taking the schooling away from the profession. And I think that's okay. I don't know that that's the right way to say it. They just don't want to waste any more time. They just want to get at it. And I think after you teach them, or when you see how anxious they are to learn, you're going to be very excited, even being an instructor. I give them diplomas when they graduate. Both Mayor Davis and I are both, because it's through Trillium also, you know that. And because it's through Trillium, Kevin and I have gotten involved, Kevin Davis. And I think it's a wonderful idea, wonderful course. And I think beyond this committee, Kevin, if you can recruit some other farmers that I know are good teachers, and they would love the students. I know they would. That's how it works.
Yeah, so Larry Davis has helped as well, and I believe he's going to be my my tech assistant for the April portion of the program. Owen?
Yeah, just as an aside, it doesn't fit your schedule, but there's something, and I want the county knows too, that Wentworth and Brant are working to put together a compaction day. Sometime, I think it's a 3rd week of August. I'm not sure this is going to be out at Snowball Elevators east of Brantford. That's where my understanding is they run different tire configurations over sensors that will tell you pounds per square inch of wide tires, narrow tires, high air pressures, low air pressures. So it's going to be fairly interesting thing to do. So
another challenge for the program is being equipment, obviously, because Conestoga has no farm equipment. So I've lent a lot of my equipment, and Larry has as well, and various other farmers. The equipment portion, the huge capital investment. Again, we're limited by equipment and space, and so that's why I really think the value will be having them out on the farm for 8 days in April at my place and 8 days at the hangar. Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Zach. Anything for other business? See nothing listed. Okay, we're on to 11, Planning Advisory Committee business, 11.1. Brandon?
Good afternoon, everyone. I won't say too much just about this particular report. We just wanted to provide a follow-up and a quick summary of where our official plan project is, considering that we presented, I guess, January, February, the last meeting. So we'd like to use this opportunity as well. I believe Member Richard there has some questions as well. So we can use this opportunity to field any questions. And if there's any further comments about the official plan, we can definitely take those into account as well. And just in summary, I guess, for the report, we don't have any further word from the province on the review that they're doing right now. So things are kind of just on hold, and we're waiting until we hear a bit more information from the province. But I'm happy to take any questions or comments of this.
Richard, did you have questions?
Yeah, I'm just trying to unmute there. Yeah, when I was reviewing the new settlement areas, I just wondered who initiated those and why we were looking at creating new settlement areas and what's allowed on a new rural settlement land. And then another concern is once it's a settlement, does that allow for more expansion beyond those settlement boundaries?
That's a great question. So through Chair Hodge, so one of the first things I guess I'll start off with is we're not permitted to create new settlement areas. The provincial policy and growth plan does not allow that. So what we've tried to do here is look at least at kind of our historic documentation to see where there were settlements or possibly settlements or clusters of residential areas that might have coordinated as a settlement in the past or would benefit, I guess, from being acknowledged in the official plan as a settlement with respect to the complete communities framework. There's quite a few even that here, I can bring up an example just based on the review and the comments that have come in as well that we likely won't even be moving forward with. Let me see if I can share my screen here. I can give you an example from our previous presentation. There we go. Just let me know if you can see that.
Keep going. Yes, we can see it.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Right. So this example here, for example, Brant Valley, may have been something historic there along Governor's Road. This one's kind of a stretch. We wanted to grab all of the properties that weren't necessarily being farmed just to see what the province's comments would be on it. There is quite a bit of the provincial natural heritage system that runs through it. So even just with that in mind, that likely wouldn't become a settlement, so to speak, with the new official plan, but we wanted to see if the province had any comments. So what we did was we tried to grab as many as the ones that we could acknowledge, collecting comments on it from yourselves and from the province, and then we wanted to do a fair evaluation of all of these kind of settlement areas. There's quite a few anomalies in our current official plan, and even compared to previous official plans from the townships or from the County of Brant. So we're kind of trying to clean all of that up. There's all these moving parts. But like I say, a lot of these will still rely on what the provincial comments will be. If are of the opinion that this is creating a new settlement area, then wouldn't be permitted to do that. And that's just based on the provincial policy.
So, right. So what's allowed that's different if you create these settlement boundaries? So
what it would become is similar to our smaller hamlets. Cathcart. So the residential uses are permitted in those areas, as well as employment, like commercial and kind of complete communities ideas. So it does permit some division of land, but again, the priority in these areas is farming. So if we do see that some of these settlements or the delineation, so redelineation of the settlement have negative impacts on the farming in that regard, the priority is to protect farming. So then it wouldn't be staff's opinion to move forward with those particular settlements.
So, so you're saying you could put housing on here, or commercial or residential?
So yes, in a settlement area, if it receives that settlement area designation, there would be permissions for residential and commercial uses.
Like, for instance, on the one we're looking at now, the Grand Valley, a lot of it looks like you really wouldn't want to develop it just because of the natural features on there. It wouldn't allow that much development. So
Exactly.
was this wasn't initiated by the actual people that live there?
No, so none of them were initiated privately.
Okay.
They were all initiated by way of the review that we did as staff. Like I say, there's some of them here that are not going to turn out as settlements, but we're looking for the provincial guidance and provincial comments on that as well.
And so if they allow it, then does that allow expansion of those settlement areas in the near future?
There is possibility for expansion, but it is very limited with rural settlements. You'll notice as well, one of the things we're doing with rural settlements is actually considering pulling back some of the settlement area boundaries. They were over designated. They were expected to receive some servicing. That's not going to happen. So there's quite a bit of land that's been kind of designated for development. So one of the parts of our review was just to look at that contrast, see what may better off being designated as a hamlet and what maybe shouldn't be. And that was all part of, I guess, council's direction to kind of look at the historic hamlets and do kind of a full review of those areas. And many of the residents who reached out to us and pointed some of their areas out to us. County's quite a large area, so staff, we did sift through the whole mapping system and quite a few old maps, but we were obviously, with comments coming in as well, we were able to kind of sift through it all with that respect.
When you say comments coming in, was this after you designated it or before?
So it's not designated, I will just say that, but yeah, so this is just preliminary, it's all draft, nothing is changing. We're just getting comments, so before and during this process, comments.
Because I noticed some of it contains farmland, so that was my concern. That it's hard, we'd have to go through them one by one, but some of them contain farmland. I'm just wondering why that would be included.
Yeah, and that was pointed out during some of the council meetings as well. Councillor Gatward, I believe, pointed one out specifically. So what we did was kind of modeling, and this is exactly why we open this up to comments, so that we can see, oh, okay, this is assessed as farmland, it's being used as farmland, it should not be included. And that's the position we've taken in the policy, the writing of the policy. We just need to make sure that the mapping and the writing match up in that regard.
Is there a chance for input on these?
Yeah, oh yeah. So we officially submitted the draft official plan in August. Commenting has been open since then. We did provide a date by October of last year to receive comments, and that was trying to be in keeping with the province's timelines for approval. But at this time, we don't have any comments from the province. We're still accepting any of the comments that come in. We're trying our best as staff to evaluate them. So you're more than welcome to provide specific comments if they're specific to the settlement areas, or as a committee as well, if you want to provide further comments on the draft.
So how would we do that as a committee?
So we do have your information from the last meeting, the comments and the minutes that were approved. So we're using that as well. But if you would like to formulate specific written comments, you're more than welcome to do that by way of maybe motion or resolution. I'm not too sure with the ins and outs of that, but maybe the clerk can assist with that further.
Okay, just, I think the committee should go through each of these settlement areas a little more carefully and come up with a consensus perhaps.
Any further questions? There's no timeline when the province might move forward with the UOP then, unfortunately.
There hasn't been an indication. Right now, we do know that there is provincial election in the near future, so we're awaiting further comments, and that's the best we can do right now.
Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through to Brandon. Brandon, when you were looking at those possible new designations for settlement areas, did you look at any livestock operations in the surrounding areas in case that MDS gums things up in the future?
Yeah, through Chair Hodge to Councillor Miller, that's a great question. Yes, we did. The information we have on file with the county with respects to livestock facilities is a bit hit or miss. So we've been actually working on that data set to try and improve it. And this was one of the ways that we could do that. But yes, we did look at that, and the expansion in Paris, for example, we had to go through the AIA process, do kind of the MDS calculations, and that would be something if we were adding these additional or reiterating these settlement areas, we would do that specific MDS calculation to look at that as well.
Okay, yeah, going back to what Richard said, it's one thing, and you yourself know this, it's one thing to meet the standards of the MDS, but in a way too, you don't, or at least I don't want to see, and I don't know how members feel, but you don't want to see a livestock operation constrained either, right? Maybe they have 50 Holsteins or 100 Holsteins. And then life is good, everybody meets MDS, and then down the road they're thinking they got more quota, maybe they're 150, but they're constrained, so I always try and be cognizant of that. I don't know if planning staff are, but we never know what's going to happen, but I think it's something we should at least think about.
That's a great comment as well. And just so you know, from the perspective of planning staff, so I'll use the Paris expansion for the business park as an example. So what we did was we approached the farmers and collected information to see if they were looking to expand as well. And we actually, when we did the MDS calculations, we worked in a possible expansion just in case, right? If things change down the road, even if they didn't indicate that they wanted to expand, even if they doubled their size, that was kind of the number that we were going with to see what the implications would be on the expansion. So we are looking into those things to try and keep the priority, like I say, as agriculture on them.
You guys are working a little harder than I thought. So good job. Thanks.
Mayor Bailey.
Yeah, the other thing I just want to bring up, I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but I'm going to try it anyway, is during the last few councils, when all the properties in Paris were sold and they're now becoming surveys and developments, there's a few farmers that are spotted between everything. And I'm just wondering what kind of a farmer can farm a piece of property when they know that they're going to be in trouble from the first day they decide to farm anything. They can't farm mushrooms because it stinks. They can't spread manure because it stinks, because they're now surrounded by surveys of very entitled people that don't really want farmers anywhere around them, but that's where they are. And some of them even say that they don't want to live in the shadows of the corn stalks. And when you start thinking of stuff like this, and this is reality, this is what comes through my desk every day, people saying, we don't like the smell of pigs, we don't want mushrooms, we don't want this, we don't want that. And liquid fertilizer is just horrendous. We've never smelled anything like it in our lives. And it's like the farmers saying, well, you know what, county, you've put us in a position now where you told us that this is still farmland. We're still zoned agriculture. You won't let us sever it. You won't let us sell it to the industry. What are we supposed to farm here? And it's a really bad, and there's 3 or 4 of them that are going to come up pretty soon in the county of Brant, which I feel very sorry for the farmer, because I'm not sure what they're allowed to farm. And if they're not allowed to sell it, to sever it, they're not allowed to give it to industry, I'm just not sure that we aren't boxing farmers in all over the county. And I don't know if it's anybody's fault. I think it's not even poor planning. It's just it's just old deals that have been done, and now they're coming to fruition. And when you start getting neighbors that are able to comment on the fact that they don't want to live in the shadows of a corn stalk, I'm not sure where we're going to go from there. So Brandon, just maybe if you can just sort out what little pieces of farmland we have sitting everywhere and find out what those farmers are intending to farm, and so that we can be ready for the complaints. Thank you.
Any further comments or questions?
If I could just add maybe one thing just to
Sure.
reply to Mayor Bailey's. So that's great information for us to know. And we do look at that information. And as you mentioned yourself, we're dealing with kind of the planning policy of former days and now, and trying to make amends to all of that. One of the things planning staff is looking at doing a lot more of is education. So we're hoping that by informing people what a settlement area boundary is, what a designation is, what those things mean, we can definitely work towards hopefully making our lives easier for both the residents that are farming and the residents who may just be living in our settlements. But yeah, it's definitely something we'll look into further, and we can provide some more information.
Thank you, Brandon. Through the chair, not everyone has the soil to raise lavender, Brandon. And thank you.
Richard here.
Sure.
I'm assuming all those farms were there first. So I don't know if there's an education that can happen before people move in to make them aware of what's going on, so that they know what they're getting into as well. The other thing is, you mentioned changes in the OP. Is there a way to see what the comments were and how the changes have happened in the OP because of the comments, in the recently or not?
So we do, through Chair Hodge to Richard there. So we do have some of the comments that we received before the deadline in October. We do have those available online, and we provided another update with a report in December. We can provide some more of that information specifically to the committee. And then I imagine in the next few months, again, depending on the provincial comments, but we'll be providing some more information and updates specifically on what's kind of happened between December and now to council and to the committees as well. But we can provide the information that's come available, at least to the certain point in the timeline. And then we're still kind of collecting comments, like I say, but we're happy to provide that information directly.
There also was, I've been reading some interesting things in the States where they actually sell communities on having a farm within the community and making the farm more of a community farm, where you may have, vegetables for sale, do farm tours, farm visits, so that you can actually work with the surrounding neighborhood who actually buy in because there's a farm there. So it's interesting. If you look in the States, they're actually selling real estate based on the fact that you get to live beside a farm.
Any other one? Did you have something?
Yeah, everybody wants to live in the country, but they don't want to smell anything, right? Suggested years ago, between maybe all of our farm organizations, we write up a nice little letter, and maybe it goes out every year with your tax bill that says, "Welcome to the country." There will be some smells, there'll be some noise, there'll be some dust, there'll be some big machinery on the road. Probably twice a year, springtime and fall. Please keep your ATV, your snowmobile off my dirt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We could make it nice and flowery, and like I said, have it go out twice a year, and there you go.
And great suggestion. Just hopefully people would read it, because I know goes out the tax bill about the burning bylaw. You know what happens with the fire department when we go to burning complaints, right? I didn't know that. Well, it's in your your tax law, but sure, education. We have to find a way. We all have to live here, work here, and move forward, in a friendly manner. So it's tough. It's tough because the county is changing. Obviously, there's more and more development, and ag is here. Obviously, and it's going to be here. But how do we move forward on a friendly, how could I put it, productive manner that's beneficial to everyone? That's the question. So Brandon, obviously with the election coming up and then summer, right behind that, this might not be moved forward until the fall, potentially. That would be my history.
Through you, Chair Hodge. That's a very valid assumption. Like I say, as staff, we're ready to keep things moving forward, and the province gave us the July 1st, 2022 deadline, and we were ready to go for that. So we're hoping we get our comments soon, and then we're back to the races. So still lots to do behind the scenes, I'll tell you that. So we're still working away.
Mayor Bailey? You're muted.
Mr. Chair, we can meet in the summertime if you'd rather. I mean, just because we haven't done it before doesn't mean we can't do it now, especially with the provincial election coming up and then the municipal election coming up right after that. It might be a good idea to meet during the summer. I mean, it's not a horrible idea.
Sure, it's a thought. Sure, it's up to committee, right?
I'm fine meeting.
Sure. Typically, we just avoid the summer simply because of busy, out in the fields. But when aren't we busy? That's the question. So
Well, that's just it. And when do you have two elections right on top of each other like that? Because the provincial one could change everything. You know that. The municipal one could change everything too. But I think we should be more concerned of the provincial one first. And if it's just taking an hour and a half out of a day to get things passed in a cycle, if committee has that kind of time, then we could maybe decide to meet in summer.
understand. Discuss that next meeting. The end of the agenda. Okay, so we have a recommendation here. Oh, Ken,
maybe we could actually physically meet. That'd be fun.
Let's hope.
Yeah. We can physically meet after that. We're going to, right after the two conferences, Good Roads in Toronto, we're going to meet as a council the last Tuesday of April. So the council chamber will be ready by then. If you want to meet in person again, something to think about.
Yep.
Sure. Oh, Matt, sorry, you have your hand up.
Just through the chair to the committee, if I could make a request, in however you'd like to conduct and when you'd like to conduct your next meetings, if it would be possible to add to your resolution that we can continue to send you development applications through email, just for your review. And I'm just thinking in terms of our planning timelines and that sort of thing. I want to make sure that you're circulated on all the agricultural related applications, and just in case there is a little bit of a lag between the meetings or in case we take off for the summer, if we could still circulate the committee on those kinds of applications, that would be very much appreciated.
Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem. If committee so agrees, which I'm sure wouldn't be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we had a recommendation here that the draft OP be received as FYI. Somebody willing to move that? Richard, seconded by do you have a seconder? Member Guest? Any questions, comments? All's in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, we're on to 11.2.
All right, good afternoon. Thanks, Chair Hodge. So
Thank
it's
you.
just an information report. This was a report that was attached to the March 1st Planning and Development Committee meeting. So I'll just start on that. It was the Housing Affordability Task Force report. We just wanted to let you know about it and for you to be aware of it. You've probably heard a lot about it in the news. And just to, before I go on, just to follow up on some of the points that were made with Brandon's presentation. And it corresponds to this report and also a letter that Mayor Bailey kindly had sent to Minister Clark a few weeks ago on our draft official plan, giving them, as we say, the cattle prod. It was basically about the timelines of our OP, and we were greatly disappointed that council, we had not received comments back. They're 8 months in arrears. So there's a one window timing period, it's 90 days. So you've had the draft OP since July. It's then sent to the province for a 90-day one window. So that's when Municipal Affairs sends it out to all the partner ministries like OMAFRA, like Ministry of Natural Resources, to gather the agency comments. They have 90 days by legislation. So that ended November 17th. We are still waiting. So Mayor Bailey kindly had sent that letter out, which was discussed at council, and it worked. Staff in London actually had heard about the letter. So they got contacted by the minister's office. So our comments are sitting at the minister's office. And we are one of the hot files at the moment. A lot of it has to do with our surplus residential lands and that we've triggered this excess lands policy. So it's becoming a political issue at the high level. And this speaks to now my housing affordability report. And then just a couple of other things. The writ drops May 4th. So the minister cannot make any minister, any political decisions. And you also think about COVID and all the mandates and the timing. So the minister cannot, or any political entity cannot make a decision after May 4th because they start the election cycle. So we believe we're either obviously going to get comments before May 4th or we will not. And unfortunately, I've asked staff at MMH, I've had quite a few meetings with them lately, and they said, Jen, unfortunately, they're not going to tell you if you're not going to get comments. You just won't know. You just won't get them. So it's unfortunate because we have a letter on file from Minister Clark from April 2021, basically saying you will be in conformity with the growth plan by July 1st, 2022, or else we will do something about that. So a lot of municipalities are rushing and it's not clear where this will go. So, but that being said, you still have time to provide us feedback. January's report, especially on the rural settlements, we were hoping to gather additional feedback. We're welcome at any time to email us. And just also one other thing with the hamlets, we were actually directed by council to explore some of those. Councillor Chambers had brought that up. And also we were contacted by quite a few landowners in the rural area that owned like a gas station or where they're sitting at a Four Corners and wondering, well, why am I prime ag? I own a gas station. Like what is the new OP going to do about that? So, and things like that. And we're also getting contacted by a lot of speculators. Just got an email in literally half an hour ago about speculative properties. Mostly surrounding the settlement area boundaries. There's a lot of landowners being contacted about speculative interests. So it's very interesting. So based on that, the Housing Affordability Task Force report, even though it's mainly geared to more urban centric, it does affect the rural area because in that report embeds, as we talked about at Planning Committee on March 4th, it embeds deep-seated changes to the Planning Act, which is recommended to take away a lot of public participation and consultation. A lot of issues to do with NIMBYism and this new term called bananaism, it's called, build absolutely nothing anywhere, anytime. It's a new term. So there's a lot of deep concern about that. And there's a lot of other bodies and entities that have commented of their disappointment on this report. And Mayor Bailey also kindly has sent out another letter directed by motion on March 1st about that report. And the Ontario Association of Municipalities, AMO as it's called, actually has very good recommendations if you have a chance to look at that. So we just wanted to let you know about this report. If you haven't read it, it's worth reading and trying to understand. It was a third-party report, mostly written by banks and real estate entities, directing some recommendations to the province. The province doesn't necessarily have to implement these recommendations. I think it was a weather vane to see which way the wind would blow before the election. So really it's just information. If you have any comments that you'd like to direct, it does still affect the rural area because changes to the Planning Act will, and they want to build houses. It obviously does a lot depend on servicing availability. So that's all I have for that. If there's any comments or you have any discussion amongst yourselves, so I'm here. So thank you, Chair Hodge.
Thank you. Mayor Bailey?
Chair Hodge, both my letters were open letters. So Jennifer, can I have them sent to the members of this committee? A copy of both my letters?
Yes, absolutely. I'll send them. Actually, Nancy has them. We sent them to Friday File. So
Perfect. Thank you.
I'll send those out. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy.
Any questions, comments?
I liked your reply, Jennifer, that you wrote. Did that actually go to the province, what you wrote?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Yes, I like that as well. Thank you. I had a number of concerns with the task force report. It certainly seemed heavy-handed in the not in the public interest, in my view, at all. Sober reading, actually. Anything else? Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Me too.
You too.
Bye-bye. Okay, so we have nothing for in cameras. And we, next meeting, when will we propose to meet possibly? What works for our committee members? Are evenings possible or early mornings?
I was just going to say evenings would be possible for me.
Does that work for staff though? Or could we switch back to 9 o'clock in the morning maybe? Would that work better for everyone maybe? Instead of cutting the day right in half here?
Sorry, a question was asked of staff. We can work around the committee schedule. If there was a preference, I would just say sometime during the day would be fine.
For a while, we were meeting at 9 a.m., I believe, Monday mornings. Is there an appetite from committee for a summer meeting? Well, typically, we'd be meeting to the fall, right? But
yeah, I'm open to a meeting. Yes.
Okay. Ken or Owen?
Yeah, as long as there are issues that have come up, don't have a meeting just for the sake of having a meeting. But yeah, probably in the summer and at 9 a.m. on a Monday might be good while the dew is still on the wheat before you can combine.
Like, you've got some, do you?
Well, we're not sure yet.
Yeah, I got no problem with short meetings, evening, mornings, maybe. That's fine. Summer's fine.
What about the end of June? Would that work for everyone? It's somewhat in between seasons for cash crop.
Well, we've got till the end of April probably before I get too serious about things.
Yeah.
Sure. absolutely.
And then a month and a half or something, maybe 2 months would be better.
That's why I proposed possibly the end of June, maybe. If that makes sense for everyone.
When's the provincial election? It's June sometime.
June 2nd.
Oh,
So dust will settle long before the next meeting, right?
so we
Yeah.
theoretically could have a meeting in the council chambers if we could get consensus on that.
Correct, I believe, as long as COVID stays in a favorable position.
Chair Hodge, at one point we were planning to have a monthly meeting, a holding spot, and then if we didn't have anything for the agenda, we would just cancel the meeting. Would that
Okay.
be something of interest to the committee to have like maybe a Monday morning at 9? I can put a calendar invite and see if everybody can make it. And then if there's nothing for the agenda, we will just cancel the meeting with advance notice.
On a monthly or bi-monthly basis.
We did actually schedule a monthly meeting at one point in time, just for applications for the Planning Act to be reviewed. It depends
Okay.
if you,
Okay, it's up to committee what they would, what the thought process would be, if that's how they'd want to proceed or not.
How long are you looking at having these meetings? Like how long would they last?
It depend on what was on the agenda, right? It could be fairly short or it could be fairly lengthy.
correct. Like today we had 3 planning applications. That would be something that they would be looking for input for.
I think we should probably have one more before the official planning act is due to be reviewed or something. Say the end of April.
Okay, Ken, did you have a comment?
I thought this may not happen till on into July.
Mhm.
This OP review.
That would be my thought, but I can't tell for sure, but yeah, provincial election and then then summer right behind it. And so who knows? I honestly don't know, but
Yeah.
I think it'd be longer than shorter. Let's put it that way.
Mhm.
I just wonder, a lot of our committee members will be fairly busy at the end of April, I would think. I hope.
Yeah. We
I know
hope.
I'll be busy at Conestoga for sure. So
Mhm.
with the equipment operators program. So did we want to set a monthly meeting or bi-monthly meeting and go that way, or do we just want to set one for the end of June now?
We could try a monthly meeting, and if there's nothing to come up, we can always cancel it.
Okay, any other thoughts? That's the way we want to go then? So you want to aim for the last Monday at 9 a.m.? Is that what the consensus is then?
Sure, I'm good with that.
That's okay
Okay.
with me.
Okay. Okay. And then if there's nothing on the agenda, we'll just cancel it. Okay. I just hope that we don't get into the pattern of always just canceling. No, that's the only downside to it. But I'm sure that the months of April and May might be pretty tough to get quorum, I would think, from our end. Simply because we're so busy out in the field, right? Hopefully. Okay, so we're going to tentative next meeting is the end of last Monday of April, 9 a.m. Council chambers, correct?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you. Motion to adjourn. Mayor Bailey, thank you. Everyone,
Thank
have
you.
a good day.